Okay, so now we are coming into the proper part of the training on substance abuse and addiction disorder. Next, we will start off. We will start off with looking at what is the condition in Malaysia now. But I'm so sorry. This survey is not the recent one. It is the last one done by ADK in year 2023. As you can see, in regards to the gender, 95% the males are the highest in having addiction issues, followed by the female, the women with 4.1%. When we compare it with age category, the adolescents, they come at 0.4%, and the youths, they are the highest with 59%. That number, when we convert it into a number of individual, it is actually about 61,000, and followed by the adults above 40 years old. They hold at 41,000 individuals. When we look it from the angle of academic qualification, the highest would be those in tertiary education. Sorry, the highest would be those in the secondary school education, and followed by those who are not schooling, 14%, and primary is quite high, 9.3, followed by tertiary education, which is tertiary education, which is 5.2%. And ethnicity wise, the Malays are the highest with 30%, followed by the Chinese at 6%, Indian 6%, Sabah indigenous about 4%, Sarawak indigenous at 2%, and Line which is at 1%. But this is just surveys from the cases which has been reported. I'm sure there's many cases which are not unreported, and we believe that the number is higher. And when it comes to the drug categories, the highest is stimulants, amphetamines, and followed by opiates, 27%, cannabis, and other type of drugs. And the psychotropic pills is about 0.77%. And finally, we look at the occupation people, the various type of occupation that people have are those in the private sector. It is the highest with 31%, followed by unemployed 18%, general workers 18%, self-employed 14%, part-time workers 9.7, and so forth with the smaller numbers with the non-occupied occupation, no occupation, government, students, and retiring. So this is the current situation in Malaysia, which was surveyed in the year 2023. Next. Okay, now we come to the what do you call the definition of substance uh, misuse. It is compulsive, excessive, and self-damaging habitual usage of drugs or substance leading to addiction or dependence, causing serious psychological injury or serious physiological injury, and also psychological harm, or even leading to death. So this is the definition of what substance misuse is. Next. Okay, this is the definition of addiction by DSM 5 edition. I mean DSM 5, fifth edition. And what is DSM? It is the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Mental Disorder. This book is by the American Psychiatric Association on the manual of mental health, on the mental health and also brain related conditions lah. And all the points here have been actually paraphrased. So the first one, the addiction, the first one, it says that taking in in larger amounts and for longer than expected lah. And the second one would be intent to cut down, but that person is unable to cut down. And the person in addiction actually uses a lot of time in getting time in getting, using, and also trying to recover from the addiction itself lah. The fourth one is due to the continuous usage of drug. This person actually has cravings and urges to to use the drug, and also because of this continuous use of drug and craving and the habitual process of using drug over and over again, actually a disruption in their routine in regards to work, studies, home, family. Yeah. Next. And also continued usage after relationship problems lah. So this is one of the points that is highlighted in this DSM. Even though the person has a relationship problems, he or she continues to use drugs, and just to feed on their addiction, they give up important activities in their life, and recurrent usage in physically hazardous situation. Although they are having some physical problems, issues to their health, but they keep using their drugs and needing more and more to achieve the desired effect lah. This is in regards to their tolerance. Probably when they're using in early stage of using, they need just a bit of a small amount to reach that high. But as time goes by, they actually need more and more in quantity to actually reach that level of high that is desired lah. And the last one is anyone with addiction issues, they will actually have withdrawal symptoms. Next. So what do you think? Now we come to a time of like a dialogue session. So we call this session as a what do you think session. Next. If you're addicted to drugs, you're a bad person. Uh, Anyone can feel free to respond to this. Just speak out their mind. There's no right or wrong in it. Probably we need to break the ice further. Mr. Melvin, what do you think?
If you may not necessarily need to be a bad person to be addicted to drugs. Anybody can be addicted to drugs. It just means that you have an issue that needs to be resolved. I would say.
Okay.
I think sometimes it can be bad influence. Yeah. So I don't think they are bad people. It's just that you're mixing with the wrong crowd.
Mm,
Building.
Sometimes grief and isolation, when there's no support, it can lead them. But actually, as what the sister said, they are not bad person. They are just influenced, or they are lost.
mm,
Or perhaps I can add in being addicted to drugs lead you to bad activities.
Yes. Lead you, yes. Agree.
mm. Anyone else? Okay, there's one in the chat. For some, it could be a form of escapism. Okay, how about Francis? What is your thought on this?
I'm kind of agree to with Melvin. Using drug won't make you a bad person, but it will lead you to many bad, making bad decisions and many bad activities after this.
Mm,
So they need to be redeemed and saved.
mm. So, in other words, they are not bad person, but they are doing bad things.
Out of their control. Because
Mm,
under the influence of drugs, yeah, the drug control their mind. So we should sympathize on them.
okay. How about Gillian? You want to try?
I just answered just now.
Oh, sorry. Okay. Okay. Probably we can go to the next question. Substance users should be punished. Yeah, arrest them and put them in jail. What do you
I
think?
think they need counseling more than being arrested. Find out the root cause of their reason to take drugs. Unless they murdered someone, then it's a different story. But just because they took drugs, I think they just need counseling.
Mm. So, in other words, you are saying incarceration is not the answer to help someone rehabilitate, is it?
Maybe counsel them first, find out what happened, because sometimes you can just be, innocently dragged into this and then you're addicted, So incarceration is not going to do anything to help them, curb this issue with drugs. Just my thoughts. I think they need someone to talk to be counseled, find out the root cause and then go from there.
Okay, thank you. And we have another one in the chat. Substance users should be rehabilitated. Thank you. Like, no need to save them in the early stages. Wait them till they really hit rock bottom to help them.
I think it also depends on the person. Not everyone who addicted would want to need or want to receive help.
Mm,
So they would reject your help also. So as a person who want to help them, sometimes you know the timing issues like unless they are hitting the rock bottom, then they will come to you to ask for help. But if they are not in there yet, then it's difficult to even have a decent conversations.
mm,
That's my experience lah. But maybe I can
mm. Okay, next. Thank you, Princess. I use only once in a while. I'm not addicted. Yeah. I think in the street language we say it's a touch and go lah. Most of them say I'm not addicted. I just use it once in a while, touch and go. So what are your thoughts on it? Is using once in a while okay? Is using during the weekend? Just
Using once in a while is not okay because eventually they'll get addicted to it.
mm,
So people who say even not only drugs but even anything once a while it becomes a habit. Yeah, that's all.
but the doctor said one beer a day is okay.
No
You
comments.
can't be a social drug
I
user
mean,
lah. You can be a social drinker,
Beer
but I
is
think
not
you
that
cannot
strong.
be a social drug user.
mm, okay. There's no right or wrong here. We are just trying to explore. Next, you should have strong will to stop drug misuse.
Yeah, they if they if they think they want to stop, and they will find eventually they'll go for help,
Mm.
and then it's their mind control actually.
Mm. Okay. Okay, good. Good. Any other thought? One last thought before we continue to the next slide.
And the drug weaken our willpower. Right?
Mm.
The drug can affect our willpower. So I believe, yeah, like I agree, we must have uh, enough willpower to stop drug misuse, or a desire to stop can lead someone to go out and seek help. That's
Mm.
my opinion.
But how if the heart is really strong, has a strong will, but the mind is not strong, it's craving for drug?
That
Okay, I'll
can,
just leave at that. Probably we can think more on that as we continue the sharing. Jacob, next slide, please. Okay, addiction. We have two types of addiction. Uh, I mean, classified into two types now. One is named the substance addiction, and the other one is the behavioral or process addiction. The process addiction, it's a non-substance addiction whereby we are addicted to certain compulsive behaviors like gambling, internet, uh, addicted to sex, shopping, exercise, and even spiritual obsession. And in contrast, for substance abuse, its substance addiction is on things like tobacco, alcohol, opiates, and also other forms of drugs and substances. Next. Okay, today we'll be focusing on substance addiction, which is drugs. So, drug is any chemical that changes the way our minds and bodies work. So, this is the definition for drugs. Yeah, and for addiction itself, it is a chronic relapsing brain disease, not a simple matter of a consequence of a personal choice, moral failing, or lack of willpower. Yeah, so it is classified as a disease model. Addiction is actually a disease model whereby this is considered as a disease, and we can actually treat it lah. Yeah. Addiction can cause significant brain uh, structure and changes in the brain structure and function, particularly in areas related to reward, motivation, and decision making. And it can be contributed by many factors, can be biological, physiological, and environmental factors. Next. So these are some of the types of drugs that we have. The first type is called the depressants. These drugs are actually they affect the central nervous system, and they actually slows down a person and affects the concentration and coordination. Some of the examples are like alcohol, barbiturates, and benzodiazepines. The next one will be stimulants. Stimulants are those type of drugs which actually accelerates the activities, speeds up the message traveling between the brain and the body, and they can make a person feel more awake, alert, and confident and energetic. The next one would be hallucinogens, and also known as psychedelic drugs. They are classified as psychoactive drugs that can cause altered state of consciousness, and a profound alteration in the perception of reality, time, space, and that can also alters our mood and thoughts. Next, opioids. They are a broad group of pain relieving medicines that work on your brain, and there are actually two types of opioids. They can be natural and synthetic. Those natural are those coming from the poppy seeds. poppy plants like morphine, heroin, and codeine, and those synthetic, which is actually made in lab, lah. And one of the thing that we need to take note here, the synthetic opioid is Fentanlyl, which is becoming more and more uh, used in Malaysia now. The next would be cannabis. Cannabis, another name for it is marijuana, and the what you call active component in it called the THC. Lah. That's the active component that actually causes us to be high. The next will be the new psychoactive substance, NPC. The examples are like designer drugs, and it is called also the designer drugs, and some examples are ketamines and synthetic cannabinoids and others. Lah. Next, okay, drug administration. How do we go about using these drugs? Yes. So these are some of the routes that we can actually administer the drugs on. The first one is inhaling, and the second one is injecting. The third one is snorting. The fourth one is orally and transdermal. And this injecting, it can be intravenous, where we inject it to our veins. It can be intramuscular, like morphine and all that can be administered into our muscles. And it also can be subcutaneous, can be just under the skin. Yeah, it can be taken orally also, like tablets and all that. And transdermal is like the patches on the skin. Lah. For an example, it can be the nicotine patches. Yeah, that we put on put it on our skin. Yeah, that is through transdermal. So through all these routes, it actually goes back to our lungs. Sorry, to our heart, and then pumped into our brain. Lah. So that's how our brain actually receives the substance that we take in. Next. Okay, this is cannabis, as we saw earlier. Next. Yeah, it contains THC, which affects one's mood, causing euphoria and also anxiety. Cannabis can affect our concentration and memory. No? Yeah. Some of the pictures that we use over here can be a bit what do you call graphic. No? So hopefully it's okay. Next. And these are the common methods that that been used to smoke the cannabis. The first picture over there is actually holding a joint, whereby it's put on paper, rolled, and smoked like a cigarette. The second picture is showing also smoking through a bottle, and it is called the submarine. And the third one is smoking through a bong. So these are the ways that they are usually smoked. Next. Yeah, some of the dangers of ganja, there's many, but I will just name a few important ones. It will actually distort our thinking and perception. Lah. Yeah, a ganja actually slows down a person, and it can cause increased heart rate and psychotic illness, and worsens the psychosis. Lah. And poor balance and coordination. Yeah, I'm also a recovering drug user. I still remember when I used to smoke ganja, I was actually very much slow, like even in my movement, my thinking, everything actually slowed down. Yeah, and it has a very strong decline in motivation, and there's a lot of demotivation when in long time smoking of ganja, and it causes a person to become moody, irritable, anxious, and also tensed out. Next. Yeah, this is heroin. I've also used heroin in the past, and yeah, so it can be injected, it can be smoked, and it can be also inhaled. And actually, heroin is a highly addictive opioid drug synthesized from morphine and a natural substance extracted from the poppy plant. and it can be injected, including injection, snorting, and smoking, and it rapidly enters our brain, and it has also a very strong withdrawal symptoms, including and also physical dependence, and it can also causes overdose and death. Next. Yeah. So as I mentioned earlier, this can be smoked. The first picture, smoking the heroin, and the second one is injecting the heroin. Yeah, this is also injecting through the intravenous injection in the neck, where the vein is quite big, easy for them to find the vein and inject it. And and the photo down is actually the person is using the highway, they call it, like the biggest vein in our body, because they've actually exhausted all the other veins in their body. They can find it, so they use it, the one near their thigh, like inner thigh, because the veins over there is actually very big and easy for them to locate and inject it. Next. Yeah, some of the symptom, speech, slurred speech, sleepy eye, flush skin, and photophobia and constricted pupils. These are some of the classical symptom of a heroin user, and they can easily fall asleep anywhere, and also nausea and vomiting. Next. And other symptoms, other withdrawal symptoms are insomnia, watery eyes. When we are in withdrawal, we actually have a lot of watery eyes, running nose, and our bodies actually tremor, bodily cramps, bodily pains, diarrhea, and vomiting. These are some of the classical symptoms, withdrawal symptoms. Next. Yeah. So treatment and medication. Uh, we have methadone. We actually have methadone program with the government clinics and hospital. So methadone is a powerful painkiller. In a sense, it's a painkiller, and also it is a long-term agonist drug, which is similar to morphine in its effect, but less sedative lah. So it has all the effect like morphine, but it is just less addictive. And then it is a painkiller lah, because during withdrawal our bodies are really painful. It acts as a painkiller. And same with buprenorphine. It is also some form like a methadone, where it has a painkiller effect, and also it is an agonist for the morphine, and it is used as a treatment for opiate dependence and withdrawal management for morphine and heroin addiction. Next, we go to naloxone. Naloxone is an opiate antagonist used to treat alcohol and also opiate disorder. It works by blocking the effects of the opioid receptors and prevent the receptors from taking in the whatever things that is coming in. Next. Yeah, this is Eramin 5, which is also called Happy 5. Next. So these drugs, it is a hypnotic drug prescribed for to patients who's having insomnia, and when it used as a substance for addiction, it's actually helps the brain to release more dopamine. That's how a person feels the high, lah. And because it gives a lot of happiness to an individual, that's why it's called Happy Five locally. Next. So dangers of Eramin 5 is losing of consciousness, distorted judgment, sight, and thinking. Yeah. So I just want to share a bit about this drug. I've experienced in the past. A lot of my friends used to take this drug. There was once two of my friends, they took So the withdrawal symptoms for element 5 is anxiety, insomnia, nausea and vomiting, and mental confusion. Next. Okay, this is ecstasy, also known as the MDMA. Next. Yeah, ecstasy is a synthetic drug or designer drug that alters our mood and perception and of the our surroundings. Now. It is chemically similar to both stimulants and also hallucinogen product producing feelings of increased energy, pleasure, emotional warmth, and distorted sensory and time perception. Next. Dangers of ecstasy increased heart rate, jaw clenching, dehydration, long-term use can cause memory loss, and then chills, sweating, and vomiting. So these are, and also hallucinations. Lah. So these are some of the dangers of ecstasy. Next. Next, we come to meth. I think probably some of you have heard about this. It is also the street name, they call it as ice. Next. Yeah. So methamphetamine is highly addictive and is a strong stimulant. It has a very strong effect on our central nervous system. Next. So these are some of the ways that ice is smoked. The first one is like a small bong. The second one, they call it Popeye, what is that? Yeah, sorry, I forgot already. It's called a Popeye pipe to smoke it. And the last one down there, they smoke it with the aluminum foil. Lah. So these are some of the ways it can be smoked. And dangers of meth, if you look at it, the psychological part of it is actually quite many. Lah. You can have insomnia, you can be aggressive, and increased paranoia, increased alertness, slurred speech, dizziness, confusion, hallucination, being obsessive behaviors, depression, panic attacks. Yeah, these are some of the psychological effects. Apart from it, you can see that almost every system in our body, every organ in our body is affected by the substance. Next. Yeah, picking the bugs under your skin. Yeah, so those who have this chronic meth addiction, they actually feel there's something crawling under their skin. Yeah, this is also called as delusional parasitosis, whereby, as I mentioned, they feel that something is always crawling under the skin, and it is a psychosomatic condition. There's actually doctors have actually evidently proved that there's actually nothing under the skin, but it's just a psychosomatic condition whereby the mind is so strong and it can cause us to think that actually there's something underneath. And this can happen with the chronic ice addiction or meth addiction. Next. Yeah, some of the symptoms disorientation, apathy, confused exhaustion, very strong psychological dependence. Yeah, physically, we may seem that nothing, we are not, uh, uh, feeling craving for drugs, but it's a psychological dependence going on, and it also can cause psychosis, depression, aggression, violent behavior, anxiety, confusion, insomnia, and the last but not least, auditory hallucination. Yeah, those with med addiction sometimes can talk to various things. Lah. I've heard some people sharing that they've talked to the wall before, to the aircon. Yeah, so all these things is because of the auditory hallucination. We can actually hear things. Next, yeah, this is pill coder or Yaba. Yaba is a combination of methamphetamine and caffeine. And Yaba, which means crazy medicine in Thai, is produced in Southeast Asia, Southeast and East Asia. Sorry, yeah. In Malaysia, usually it's a bit difficult to get only in areas like Kelantan, Terengganu, those places which is nearer to Thailand. Next. The dangers of WI, the drug is claimed to create an intense hallucinogenic effect and can keep users awake for days to end. Although some users have reported that the only visual come as a result of sleep deprivation and after binging the session. So yeah, and yeah, in Malaysia, famously, it is also known as pil kuda. And these are some of the methods. You can even take it as a pill, swallow it down. But usually people prefer it to the addicts prefer it to smoke it. Next, ketamine, famously known as the horse tranquilizer. Next, yeah, because it is used mostly in the veterinary field, but it is also used on humans now on certain minor surgeries and all that they use ketamine. Ketamine produces a very short-term what do you call effect. It's about an hour or less. But in this an hour or less, the person will actually have a dreamy intoxication, and they sometimes they feel very jam. What they mean by jam is X. Yeah. So the ability to move like in street term, they the person goes into a jam. Yeah, meaning the person is actually unable to move. Yeah, distorted judgment, perception, hearing. Apart from it, this person will also have gastric pains and also urinary and bladder problem because somehow this substance actually causes the shrinking of the bladder, so the person has urinary issues. So this person actually needs to go since the bladder shrinks, it very fast. Person actually needs to go to the toilet quite. In the past, actually, cases every minute the person actually goes to the toilet to urinate. Next. Yeah. This is Ketum. Sorry, Ketum. Yeah. Description of Ketum. Yeah. Uh, it is actually a herbal leaf from a tree used as medicational purposes in the past, but people are actually abusing it now. Historically, it is used as a chewing for chewing and smoking and to be drank as a tea. Lah. But kuntum has also opiate properties and some stimulant-like effects. And it is also has been used in the past for general health and for energy boost to do heavy jobs and as traditional medicine to treat diseases such as back pain, fever, cough, and all that. Lah. But nowadays it's actually being abused and it is easily found on the northern states. And dangers of ketum, feeling unreal or euphoria, feeling dizzy, drowsiness, vomiting, constipation, and insomnia. Yeah, so these are some of the latest trend whereby the drugs are actually mixed in all the soft drinks and the orange juices and strawberry juices is actually being mixed in it. And we can also marijuana can also, I mean, the THC compound, the compound that is active in marijuana, it actually can be found in the vape liquid lah, that they can use to smoke it. Next. Yeah. So this is one of the latest issues going on in Malaysia. It is called Fentanyl, the zombie drug, and it's 100 times stronger than morphine. And it was detected in Malaysia through sewage analysis samples, a collaboration between PDRM and also UKM, whereby they actually collected the sewage samples to analyze and see how many of them uh, or in fact, if there's any fentanyl issues in Malaysia or not, and they confirm it was actually positive. Next. Yeah. So fentanyl can be snake smoke taken orally by pill, and it also can be spiked on bottled drinks and papers. And I mean, sorry, on patches. And the effects of fentanyl is similar to opioid. It is analgesic and it produces relaxation, euphoria, and pain relief, sedation, confusion, and drowsiness, and many other things like opioids. And in Malaysia, previously, the fentanyl was not there, but it was first discovered in the year 2023. Lah. So this substance is quite new in Malaysia and having a big problem among the users of this because it actually makes you really high and go like a zombie person and they don't know what they're doing. They are not self-aware of the things that they're doing. Next. Yeah. So the brain and the reward system, what actually happens? This is a very important part to understand what actually happens between the reward system and the addiction part of it. Lah. So whenever an individual encounters a rewarding experience, like eating good food, social interaction, having a chocolate, or having an intimate relationship, actually dopamines they are released lah, from the brain, and it goes through the reward system pathway. And whenever this happens, the dopamine is being released into the brain, and then the brain actually take notice of it lah, that this particular activity is actually it's good because it's releasing dopamine, which causes that happiness in an individual lah. So similarly when the person takes in a drug, this dopamine is being released, and the brain take notes of it, and that's how the addiction starts lah. Because once it goes into the brain and the prefrontal cortex, the part of the brain which helps in the planning and decision making and also the control of ourselves. So this part actually helps to plan for us to go and get more drugs now, so that we can get high now. So this is in a nutshell about how the reward system works. Next. Yeah. So the physical symptoms, if we summarize what we have gone through earlier, to summarize it, the physical symptoms of a substance user, the classical symptoms are actually glazed eyes, dilated pupil, abrupt weight changes, and other physical signs. Yeah. Next. And the common behaviors of a substance user is a sudden change of the social network. Yeah, they usually cut down on socializing. This person will tend to lie, manipulate, likely to engage in crime, blame shifting. They will blame the whole world for their addiction and not themselves, and then likely to become abusive to feed their what you call their habit, and become dramatic change in their habit and priorities and financially affected. Next. Yeah, I'll pass it to Sam now.
Thanks, Thomas. Just checking in with everyone. Is everyone still awake or KO already? Just have a check in now. Open up your camera, please. Come on, come on. Still awake, ah? Okay, all right, all right. Okay, all right. So I just to add a little bit to what Thomas was sharing is that when you talk about dopamine and the neural pathway and the reward system, just let me just give you a simple example. I'm a self-proclaimed coke addict. All right. So whenever during a simple hot day, what is the first thing that comes to my mind is actually is to get a coke, and it feels so good. No, remember, you open up the coke and then you feel the gas, and then when you drink it, you gulp it, and it's like, oh my goodness, it feels good, and that is how it feels. And the next day, when it's still hot a day, you feel want to get coke again, right? And then the next day, and it's not hot anymore, but it's, gloomy day, it's raining, but something is missing in you. You don't feel like yourself, and you wanted to get coke again and again and again. And this is how the behavior of a person who is addicted to substance, when they couldn't get away from that habit because it makes them feel good. All right. So in that perspective, working with people who are recovering from substance abuse, it has never been easy. I mean, of course, you can see it from the slide there, that there's this list of things. You would meet people who are so low in self-esteem, they couldn't actually um, bring themselves to terms that, I can do this. Oh, I'm an addict. I couldn't join this group of people. I'm coming to church. Oh no, I think I use drugs. I'm sinning against God. I shouldn't go to church and all. So they're having this low self-esteem from in them, and sometimes their mood is up and down, up and down, and it is very very difficult because, first of all, sometimes they can be manipulative. They can use the condition to treat people as well. So hence why, in my experience, or in the experience of people who are working with substance users, it has always been, you are always at the tip of your toe. You are just get ready. What's going to happen next? Sometimes you couldn't understand, and of course, working with them comes with a lot of rewards as well, because you see people who are able to get rid of that habit and uh, becomes a good person because they get the support system, they found their identity and purpose in life, and of course they found coping mechanisms that helps them to cope with the stresses of everyday life as well. Next, please. So what can church do? Looking at your working with people who are from addiction, so marijuana. um, it is not easy, definitely. Next. It is not easy. Just click it on to the whole statement. The church actually can play a very pivotal role, being a supportive itself by accepting them is one of the many ways. Of course, to provide a spiritual guidance and counseling, depending on the ability of the group that you have in a church. And very, very important is that we do not cause further stigma. All right. So, of course, these are the list of things that the church can do. But of course, one of the best thing is to be able to bring them to get to know the God that who loves them. I, coming from an addiction background as well, knowing that without God, uh, I couldn't go as far. So the restoration of the lives very much depending on them knowing the God that we know. So the church plays a very big role in terms of accepting them, giving them support, giving them a platform, giving them the ability to be able to trust themselves or believe in themselves as well. Next, please. Now, I'm going to ask a few questions, selected ones. Next, and another one. Now, this question, I'm not a professional, so how effective I am in helping a PSUD or person with substance use disorder? What do you think about this? Now, I want to hear from the rest. Maybe Jacob, you can just click on for the whole question out. Now, let me hear from from the rest, from the Caritas. Now, if you're not professional, do you think you will be effective in helping people with substance use disorder? How about Gillian? Let me hear from you.
I guess if you have the heart to help, and if you're good, if you're a good listener,
Sorry, Gillian, I couldn't hear you. You're breaking up.
and you listen to their problems, I guess you can help. You don't need to be a professional. Yeah, sorry, that's why I can't on my camera also because my internet connection
Right,
is not so good.
right,
So what I was
right.
saying is that you don't really need to be a professional in order to help. You
Mm,
just need to have the heart to want to help these people. You need to be a good listener,
mhm.
and just be there for them. That's so you don't need to be a professional to do that lah.
Right. Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Now, let me hear from Rachel.
Okay.
For me, maybe not as a professional, but as a another human being, I could at least lead them to a help that I know where they can get a professional help, and to journey with them to make them
Okay.
feel seen, heard. Oh,
Right, right. So what you're telling is to be able to refer to
yeah,
a, more professional
professionals.
service.
Yes, that's right.
Right. So, but then let me ask you this question, just an extra one.
Mhm.
Um, if a client comes to you or a person comes to you and say that I know you want to help me, but you cannot understand how I feel because you are not a drug user, how do you respond to that?
Oh, honestly, I do not know how I would respond, but I would definitely seek help from any people that I know.
Right. Thank you. You don't worry. I, there are a lot of answers to that, but the thing is, you will know more when it comes to the second part of the training when you're doing the case management with Thomas later on. All right. Thank you, Rachel. Then the second question I want to ask
Can
everyone
I
is
add
that
something to what Rachel said?
can Gillian?
Just I just want to know whether we can do this or not. Like we can tell them that yeah, I'm not a drug user and I may not be addicted to drugs, but I'm addicted to other things. Maybe I'm addicted to shopping. It's not the same, but the addiction is there.
Okay, you're
Or in
trying to
that way,
relate to the person.
correct,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah. Great, great. Thank you, Gillian, for that example. So, the next question I want to ask everyone, the second last question in the list, if you can read, I am responsible for my client's recovery. What do you think about this statement? Maybe if I can hear from Teresa. There are two Teresas. I don't know whether is it the same Teresa or two different Teresas. Oops, no Teresa is talking. All right, there's a statement from Rachel's. The client is responsible for his or her own recovery. Does that mean you don't have to do anything? I don't know. How about Louis? Louis, are you there?
Yes. I think
Ah,
two things lah. First thing,
mm,
the client have to responsible for themselves, and for us also, we cannot just leave them alone. I think accompaniment is very important lah, and especially do not use one kind of eyes looking on them. No, that is important.
thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Louis. Yeah, I think some of these questions you would get to know more how to respond to them in the upcoming training. So I'm just going to leave you with this. Next, now just a few pointers lah. So just to let everyone know that addiction is a complex thing. Now, it shouldn't be treated um, with just a blanket rule because it affects the brain function and the behavior, and it causes a lot of problem to a person who has an addiction. Right. Thank you, Vansika, for your response. Now, just to let you know again that you know what, just to let you know that the the best way, when just now the question was asked whether do we wait for a person to go to reach until rock bottom, right? So this is one of the key things. When a person reaches about rock bottom, you do not know what's going to happen to them. And sometimes if no intervention is done for the person, a person might go 6 feet underground lah. So that's why in the third point it says over here, people need to have a quick access to the treatment. They need help. If they really don't want help, then we cannot do anything. But we prepare an option for them to get help. So the effective treatment always addresses on the patient's need, not just addiction itself. Perhaps there is a mental issue, but perhaps there is other underlying issue that needs to be handled with. So helping a client or a person to stay in long enough in treatment is very critical, making sure that the person gets all the help that is needed. Next. Sometimes when a person coming out from opioid, they need medication to help them. All right, not just medication. Sometimes it has to be combined with certain therapies so that it can comes along. And treatment plan, sometimes it doesn't work just at the face value. Sometimes it just needed to be revised, looking at how we can tweak and make it even better for the person. Treatment always must be flexible. It will not be good when the treatment plan is always a blanket rule or it's stagnant and it's not dynamic. It will cause a lot of problem to the person who is recovering from addiction. Okay, next. Now, where okay, can just put out the list. Now, where can we get help if there is a need at all from the northern states perspective, lah? So AADK is one. Now, sometimes when you need to report certain things to AADK or get advice from AADK, do call them. Right? They have a hotline. Search it out in the internet. You can actually get the hotline number. Call them. Sometimes they might be able to give you certain platform or certain option that you might not be able to see. So if a person needs help in terms of stopping addiction by going through medication, then of course going to a psychiatrist to be able to get certain medication to stop that craving a little bit, then go for it. Sometimes there is a need. Of course, counseling surveys, and if a person wants to go to addiction centers or rehabilitation centers. Um, there's two over in Ipoh, Vineyard Keeper and Victorious Life Training Center. One is English, one is Chinese speaking. And of course, check out our Malaysian Care Directory in our website. There are a lot more rehab centers that you can refer to as well. All right.